Welcome to Between the Lines. We're back. It's the year end, December 11th, next week, December 18th. We're going to have two shows. The Congress was nice enough to come back and do two shows. We're here with our annual, really it's twice a year, our shows that recap what's going on in Washington, and there's a lot, and where we're headed and what's the impact on the Oak Ridge area and the Anderson and Roane counties, and we're here today. First, let me say this. We've been to a lot of repeats because the government shut down. We had two series planned. We had to postpone until January and February, our AI series and our healthcare series. But the shutdown really kind of made it to where nobody was doing any extracurricular activities. So we've had to do a lot of repeats and stuff like that. But we're back on now. We're kicking it all off. We'll have live shows for the next 8, 12 weeks or more. And we're excited to be here. And I always appreciate everybody watching. Welcome, Congressman.
It's good to be with you, Alan. And in a few words, I love Oak Ridge.
Yes, sir.
This is amazing. I'm in my 8th term, running for a 9th. But wherever I go, all over the country, whether I speak with presidents, Republican or Democratic, go across the pond, go around the world, people look at me and say, Chuck Fleischmann and Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
So thank you. I love you all.
It's good to be here. And when we say Oak Ridge, we really mean more than the geographic Oak Ridge, but the impact of the overall Oak Ridge mission, which is all the counties surrounding this, et cetera, et cetera. It's been outstanding.
It's national. It's not just Tennessee. Right. Oak Ridge has such a huge national and now an international impact.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
It is such a special place. And you grew up here.
Yes, well, I did.
And you've been so helpful to me.
So I appreciate that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the government shutdown, which
yes.
It's been a mess. It didn't really impact Oak Ridge because of your leadership and others. We were pretty solid in what we were able to do at the plants, but I don't even know how to measure the impact, but it delayed a lot of stuff we needed to do. You're negotiating health care at the last minute. We're trying to get a budget passed. We just saw an election in the 7th District of Tennessee special, which was very volatile, required a lot of money from both sides. Van Epps won the race, Matt won the race, and I looked at this morning, 8.7%, and he did fine. To give Afton Ben credit, she worked hard, and she did her side. So both sides were able to kind of get their platforms up, and it was interesting.
Yeah, but the race was really never close. And I talked to a lot of my friends in Washington, and I have friends on both sides and media friends. And I had some of my friends in the media call me, and they're not on my side of the aisle, but they said, hey, should we go to Nashville? Is this going to be the upset? And I said, listen, I will settle this. I went on Cuomo's show, which is very balanced, and I said 8 to 10, it's never been close, it won't be close. That district, the 7th District, which Mark Green gave up and Van Epps won, is a solid red district. The only part that's Democratic, candidly, is part of the Nashville where Davidson County was split 3 ways. But Van Epps is going to be a good candidate. It did cost a lot of money. You're absolutely right.
I'm going to disagree with that. I think the issue was, and I agree with your premise that it's red. And
she was never going to win.
7 to 10, and she did. But I think that the activity, the fact that we had to go in and spend $1 million or more to motivate rural communities to get out and vote, because she won West Nashville by 35-40%. I mean, it was amazing. So I think it energized. I'm looking at energy levels the upcoming year, and I think the Democrats accomplished something with that. But we also woke up the Republicans in the rural areas, and you're right. It wasn't an opportunity for them to win. That was kind of. But they cut it from 22 to 8 or 9, and that was, I think there was some progress. I'm saying it as a wake-up call. I'm not saying it as an endorsement. I'm saying basically that we've got to be ready. I mean, energetic. Now, no, Tennessee doesn't have a lot of blue areas, and outside of Memphis and downtown Chattanooga and Nashville, you really don't have much contest there.
Right.
But at the same time, I think it was interesting, but we'll leave the 7th there, unless you got something to say. You needed to vote. You needed to vote.
Absolutely, we did, and he's been sworn in, and he's doing a good job right out the chute. But you mentioned something, the government shutdown, and I want to be very serious and clear about something. In 15 years, Alan, and you've known me before that.
Yes.
In 15 years in service in Congress, I have never been more upset, angry, agitated at this Democratic shutdown. There has never been a time that I have served where there was 100% fault on one side. And I call balls and strikes. When Republicans drop the ball, I'll call it. But this was a farce. The appropriations process, keeping the government open, keeping the government funded in communities like Oak Ridge, where we have about $10 billion worth of great federal investment and an impact across the state and around the country. But women, infants, and children, the WIC program was put at risk. The SNAP was put at risk. And it was because, candidly, Chuck Schumer did what he had never done before. He had voted to shut the government down. Just a few months earlier, he said never do it. Point of order.
Let's be honest. Senator Schumer sees people in his rearview mirror.
Sure he does.
He's scared.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, that's right.
But you've got to put the country first. You've always got to do it. I can look at your Oak Ridge folks, whether they're watching in Oak Ridge or Chattanooga. Everybody watches this show. It's so good. But the reality is, you've got to put the country first, above party, above politics. When you shut the government down for 43 days, it created chaos, it hurt people, it scared people. It was plain and simple wrong. That will be Schumer's legacy. And by the way, he's still suffering for that.
Yeah, I think he is. And I think it was. See, what basically happens, folks, is he shuts it down, and all the things we could have been negotiating on for 45 days are now starting back up the last week or two.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You could. That's probably the most important, correct thing you've said. And let's kind of put that in perspective. The fiscal year began October the 1st. We shut down. We were going to pass, or we did pass in the House, a clean continuing resolution to November the 20th.
So we could keep negotiating.
Keep negotiating and get appropriation bills passed. Now that date is January 30th, with one caveat. As the Senate sent it back, they didn't send it back clean. They passed agricultural probes, military veterans probes, and legislative branch approach. So 3 of the 12 bills, but my bill, the energy and water bill, which is critically important to Tennessee, absolutely, and it's a good bill. I'm ready to conference it with the senators. Senator Kennedy will work with me. Actually, Dems in the Senate will work with me as well.
I think energy is one of the few areas you have bipartisan support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember this, we always needed 60 votes in the Senate. That's why this was a farce. It's one of those things. House is a matter of numbers. We pass it in the House, but finally they got 8 Democrats to come over and vote to reopen the government. But what pain. Now, the reality is, I've been to the White House. The White House really respects my ability on appropriations. President Trump, Susie Wild, they know. They call me a pro. What I mean by that, and I respect that, is I don't fool around. I get in. I make sure we get policy passed, keep the government funded. Yes. Do I have priorities that are different from the Democrats? Of course I do. But like in Oak Ridge, we've got the Great Oak Ridge National Lab. We've got Y-12. We've got UPF, the uranium processing facility. We've got a great legacy cleanup mission going on right now. We've got great large and small contractors. I know you know a lot of them, like Loon and Navarro. Yeah. Just wonderful, wonderful.
While we're on that subject, we want to thank Navarro, our good friends at Navarro.
Yes, indeed.
For sponsoring these shows and helping us so much with stuff. So they're community act. They do a great job.
And they do a great job. And think about it. These are companies that could be anywhere. They chose to be here in Oak Ridge. They chose to be in Tennessee. Yeah. And I will tell you, under my leadership, and really with your support, I mean, Oak Ridge is your heart, and it's my heart too. But the reality is you grew up in this great community. There is such a renaissance. Companies across the country and across the world come to me and said, I want to be in Tennessee, Chuck. I want to be in Oak Ridge. They're coming here. But these are folks that could be anywhere in the country. They do business all over the country, and they do it well. They choose to be right here in East Tennessee, and that means a lot to me.
We have a lot of friends, like our good friend Sean Gleason at IB3 does a lot of contract work. And
what a pro. Talk about a pro.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I just like him. A Marine and tall, handsome, tough guy.
South Philly guy. Yeah, he's good.
South Philly guy.
He does. But there's a lot of companies. These are people from all over that have come here.
But he's
and
good.
They do a lot. Yeah, and he sponsors the shows.
Does he? Good.
He's just a good guy. I mean, he's just. So we have a lot of people. I'm contributing to the point that a lot of these people didn't come from here, but they built their businesses here.
Yep.
And they've done a lot of good in that stuff. And I don't think that the funding, as best I can read it, And I do a lot of work with the Y-12 and ORNL, and I don't think there was much hiccup for us here locally. You were able to get the funding where it needed to go during a difficult time.
Well, you're right. From the inception, I said keep the government open, and I promised this community I would fight every day. I went on national and local TV.
Every day.
I told the truth every day, and I told the truth. I didn't sit there and try to sugarcoat things. I called balls and strikes, but the reality is the stakeholders right here in Oak Ridge prepared, did the right thing, and they buffered that, but they knew I was there every day and will always be there every day to fight to keep the government open. It's too critically important. Thank goodness we got it open. Now, by January 30th, we have got to get the majority of our 12 bills passed. 3 are done.
So let's go back. People don't. So we have a budget where we're going to do the appropriations for the bill that was passed earlier in the fall. So we have to put money into those accounts to operate the new Trump budget, we'll call it, rather than the old budget. A CR means we continue with the old budget. So there are 12 different, we call them departments. Is that fair? 12 different appropriations bills.
Yes.
And they cover different areas, right? 3 are already passed. We talked about those: veterans, agriculture,
and legislative branch.
Those are done. So we have 9 left. Energy's 1, defense is 1. They go on. Labor H is 1. So
big one.
We may agree before January 30th and send 7 of those through, but 2 we can't agree on. So they'll have to CR those and send them forward.
Yeah,
so we deal with them individually.
And the CR, a continuing resolution, is just continuing what was in last year's budget. Now, they're particularly devastating, a continuing resolution for defense, because the needs change of the nation. But some of the more contentious bills that we have had to face, Homeland Appropriations is one of them. But be that as it may, some of these portfolios are more
ICE
difficult.
under Homeland?
That's part of it. The whole Homeland portfolio, with the exception of Coast Guard. Coast Guard is actually a great military branch, but they're actually under Homeland Security and not under Defense. So I used to.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
They're great. Yeah. But the reality is, the energy and water bill.
You went out on the Coast Guard shutter.
I sure did.
I remember that.
I got a little seasick, but we won't talk about that. So, but be that as it may, I get
bounced. No, those small boats bounced.
Yes,
yeah.
they were great. Been in New York Harbor. They took me to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah,
gosh, as an American, you look up and you see the great Statue of Liberty, and then they take you over by the Verrazano Bridge. There's a beautiful Coast Guard base right there on Staten Island. It's gorgeous.
And you grew up in that area, so you know those.
I know that area well. Yeah. At the ripe old age of 20, I was blessed. I got a call from the University of Tennessee College of Law in Knoxville, and I was in Chicago at the time. And they said, "Would you please come down and visit us? We would like you." And it was a time in my life, and a time that nobody wanted to give me a chance.
Right.
And the great state of Tennessee, the great University of Tennessee, gave me that opportunity. So we'll always be thankful. Yep.
Well, on the University of Tennessee, I know you come to the football games every chance you get. You're religiously, yes. And great recruiting season. So maybe things are looking up for next year.
Yes.
I mean,
look, I want us to go 11 or 12-0 every year, but the reality is it was a tough year. We lost the big games, but Coach Heupel's doing a good job. Nealon Stadium's been great, but I love my UT football. But I had an opportunity this year because of my role as chairman of Energy and Water. I was invited to Notre Dame and had a wonderful time.
That's an honor.
It was really a great experience. And Notre Dame has a great nuclear chemistry program, and has since World War II. The Navy saved Notre Dame. They came in. It was an all-boys school. Everybody was at war. And I went for the Notre Dame Navy game. But, wow, they're doing great things there. And my one ask of Notre Dame, they let me go to Mass there, which was great. I had a wonderful time in the Basilica there. But my one ask was, do business with the great state of Tennessee.
Yes.
And I got a strong yes.
And you got a strong yes, and you pulled that off since then.
Yep.
And we got different things. So let's jump a little bit.
Sure.
Let's go to break, and then I want to come back and talk about international development. So I want to talk about Venezuela. Will you catch us up on Ukraine, things of that Middle East, things of that
Israel.
nature?
Yeah,
because you're in on all of that. Let's go to break, Brad.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy.
Through purposeful
And sustainable projects.
we take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect. We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
Foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships.
With our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable.
To deliver excellence.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. I'm talking with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, who is the chairman of the Appropriations Committee in the Tennessee House, in the National House of Representatives in Washington. And we got a lot to talk about, but he's also very active in international affairs, and he's on the Defense Committee. He's probably one of the most representative kind of people. Very few people have the assignments he does, a top priority in the House of Representatives. Okay, let's start with Venezuela.
Yes, sir.
A lot of questions about violating their personal space, et cetera, et cetera. I'm more interested in what are they doing that's wrong, and what's our tactic? What are we trying to accomplish?
Sadly, Venezuela at one point in time, when it was under right-wing conservative government, did a lot better. Sadly, under Maduro, who's a radical left-wing dictator, and that's what he is.
Didn't we have a left-wing problem 25 years ago when they went bankrupt, basically?
Well, these countries in South America are very volatile. That used to be our sphere of influence.
Sure, and they got a lot of money.
Venezuela or Colombia or Peru or Chile, all these countries were loyal to the United States, even in Central America. But Maduro has taken the country the wrong way. And here's the problem. They're dealing drugs. Venezuela is dealing drugs.
The government?
Well, they're implicit in it.
Okay.
So
and
that's why with these drug boats and the like, he's a thug.
So they're
and he's anti-U.S. And we do not, as a nation, we do not recognize Venezuela as a legitimate government. That's very important.
Yeah,
There's
very
no diplomatic ties.
I got you.
And candidly, I was involved in terms of extricating. Probably one of the nicest letters I ever got from a constituent was when I helped to get somebody who was trapped there out after years.
Yeah.
But very tough when there's no diplomatic ties.
Right, exactly. So they have ships that are carrying drugs out.
Yeah.
We're trying to cut those ships off.
Right.
We feel like it's impacting the United States.
Yes.
What's the main drug coming out of Venezuela?
Two things. You've got fentanyl. You've also got cocaine.
I mean, China can make it for $5. How can Venezuela compete?
I think a lot of that is probably run through there. I think they're more of a conduit than they are a manufacturer.
I got you.
But it's sad. The drug business, sadly, is very lucrative, and it's hurting Americans.
Are they not making a lot of money from oil?
Interesting you say that. Venezuela has one of the largest oil reserves, and that's why they were doing so well. But when you have a socialist, communist regime like that, they have really not done well with their industries because they don't value free enterprise. That's why I so favor capitalism in the right.
But they still should be able to say, okay, we got these oil fields, we can sell it, you can tax it, you do whatever you want to do as leftist, but still, they should be taking in money from oil.
They should be, and they're trying, but if they were capitalist, if they were led by conservatives, which they're not, and someday hopefully they will have a democratically elected president and government that will actually work to rebuild their private sector, and they could boom because of their oil wealth. But you look at countries like Colombia, was a great ally. They elect a leftist, and things fall apart. Yeah. It's terrible. And
who's our best secure allies in South America?
Right now, Argentina.
Okay.
Brazil is not. Brazil went left, and it's a shame. But look, we want countries to choose their own destiny. The problem is you've got countries like Russia and China. China has a big footprint in Central and South America. They come in with their deals, their offers.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
And these radical left-wing dictators know that they can go outside of the United States sphere of influence, go to a China, go to a Russia, go to these radical left-wing nations and basically say, look, let's partner with you. And they'll do that. So it's sad. We're in a keen competition. China is trying to be on a path of world dominance. We can and we will stop them because I think ultimately our technology is better, our ideals are better. I mean, you can't get away from the fact that the United States is the great bastion of freedom, democracy, that special place in the world where freedom lives and rings, and thank God capitalism is still the rule of the day. But in South America, Maduro is a problem. I don't think that regime will last.
How long has he been in power?
Oh, gosh, close to a decade now.
Why don't you think it'll last?
Because ultimately communism and socialism will fail, and they will resort to other things like drugs and things like that. And I do think they're neighbors, and I think I applaud President Trump for putting pressure on rogue regimes like that. They torture people. They deny human rights. Although I will say this, we've had a country, Cuba, sadly, that has done that since the early 60s, and under Castro, under communism, they've hurt their people, they've hurt the world, and there's never been a regime change. I do think someday there will be a regime change in Cuba and a democratic Cuba. I hope and pray.
I've got friends in Anderson County and other places who go to Cuba on vacation. They go down there and visit. They do diplomatic stuff. I think there seems to be an interchange of friendliness between us and Cuba these days. Well, I think Castro's brother was a little bit, I don't know.
Yep. I won't go until they're free, but the reality is under Obama, there was a major shift in policy, which I disagreed with, to try to be more friendly towards Cuba. Under Trump, he's been much harder on them because of their human rights violations and the like. But I wish the good people of Cuba someday a free Cuba with a democratically elected president, and we want to get all of Central and South America back as good allies. But we got some problems. But I'd say Argentina right now, rock solid, but it ebbs and flows. You have other countries that have very good assets.
Where's Peru at?
Peru goes back and forth. Right. For years, sadly, there were radical leftists in Peru, the something path or something like that.
I remember that.
But Chile has tremendous resources and is ideally positioned for a lot of the space stuff. They've got their telescopes there. But I really think that the United States, under President Trump and under solid leadership, standing for our great principles, will ultimately prevail in Central and South America.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're saying there. Okay, so you got a lot of different countries there. If you had to pick one country, you say Argentina is our best friend right now?
Right now. Yep.
Okay, big country too.
It is a big country. Sadly, with Brazil...
So if they play Brazil, we got to cheer for Argentina in the World Cup. I got you.
And you see, Brazil is large, fascinating country. In Brazil, they speak Portuguese because,
that's right.
Unlike most of South America that speak Spanish. Big country, tremendous resources and the like. But they too, unfortunately, elected a leftist. And when they go left, it affects not only their whole ethos, it affects their economy, and ultimately socialism fails. As I told Chris Cuomo the other day on the show when he was asking who was going to win that race, and we talked about that, I said socialism will always be a dirty word in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee does a good job of framing the extreme. And,
yes.
You know, I'm in the business, so I'm part of the problem. But, I mean, we get out and we can frame comments on both sides, and it gets to be confusing, I think, for voters sometimes. Okay, so we got that. Iraq and Russia's kind of disappeared off the news. I don't see much. They just bomb each other every day with drones, and, you know.
mean Ukraine?
What did I say?
Iraq.
Yeah, we're getting there. I was thinking, forward thinking to that next, but the middle, out in that area next. But let's go ahead and I apologize. Let's go ahead and do the Ukrainian situation. Any improvements on any fronts?
I give President Trump high marks. He's very optimistic of trying to get peace there. I think he's realized, and the world has realized, it's going to take longer. This is a tragedy. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has cost millions of lives, and it's hurtful, it's costly, it's wrong. Russians have lost so many troops. It's staggering. But Ukraine has lost land in the battle.
Right.
But they have held. But we have seen
Ukraine has like this. What's the word I'm looking for? The Hessian type thing. People from all over the world are fighting with the Ukrainians, getting paid. Correct?
Oh, you're talking about mercenaries?
Mercenaries, yes. Thank you.
Right, and a lot of other people who are interested in being freedom fighters are there because Ukraine is fighting for its survival.
Right.
When Russia comes in and into their areas, whether it was in the Crimea or in the Donbass and the like, and they've won or taken over large portions of that country, but it's been devastating. I've been to Kyiv before.
Hasn't it been restricted to the eastern part of the country?
No. If you looked at the map, you would see large areas, even into the south. Now, to Ukraine's credit, they went up into the north and actually went into Russia and had some military successes up there. But we've got to have peace. Wars are too costly. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of lives. The international community and the United States needs to sit down and say, we've got to get this thing resolved. But Putin's out of control. Plain and simple, he's out of control. They have just really I will say this. He would have never gone in if Donald Trump had been president.
I believe that.
But we can't replay that. We are where we are historically. Right. I do think Trump will ultimately help bring peace to that region. And our European allies are going to be a big part of that.
Oh, no
they've
question.
got to be. And think about it this way. Because of Putin's actions, two countries, Sweden and I believe Finland, I know Sweden for sure, have joined NATO. Mm-hmm. Okay, again, if you look at it from Russia's perspective, they lost that once they joined NATO, and when you join NATO, you become subject to Article 5. That means if any NATO country is attacked, we will defend them.
And Sweden's right there. I mean, they're on the border.
Yes.
They probably said if they'll attack Ukraine today, they may attack us tomorrow.
Yes.
I think Sweden played a defensive move there.
And I've been to Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Those countries are right there in the Baltics. Beautiful, beautiful country, wonderful people. The reality is they're scared to death of Russia.
Yeah.
And we've assured them, look, Russia's not going to come in. We don't believe that.
You know, it's funny. You look at a world 8 years from now, Donald Trump may not be with us anymore. Putin may not be with us anymore. I think the world thing's going to change in the years ahead. I just don't know how it's going to look and where we're going to go on everything.
You're so right. We don't know, do we? I mean, think about it in our lifetime. If you have told me when I was a little boy that the Soviet Union would be gone, I mean, it is gone.
Yeah.
That was miraculous. And I give Ronald Reagan most of that credit. It's more than Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. It was that whole ethos that we were going to fight the evil
we crushed
empire.
them economically.
We did. They couldn't keep up, but we also crushed them militarily. We built up our nuclear arsenal and our military, and they couldn't keep up.
That's right.
But the reality is the sadness is that Russia, the Russian Federation, could have been such a positive actor post-Soviet, and they're not.
That's right.
It's
been
so
30
sad.
years now.
Yes, and this is a country that has natural resources. They've got a lot of talent, but it depends who rules and governs, and they just got a bad hand in Putin.
Interesting. And Putin's probably, I think Putin's like early 70s.
Yes.
Yeah, he's still got some time.
Yes.
I mean, he could work through
very
that.
powerful, very bad, but very powerful.
You don't see any. You don't see any into that.
The Dumas is all with him. Their legislative body. He's got a stranglehold on that country.
But how many Russians have died? 1 million?
Oh, more than that.
Wow.
More than that, and it has been
and drones
carnage.
are just dropping.
Yeah.
Is the technology that Iraq's using, which obviously is imported, is it equal or greater than the Russian drone technology? Seems like it.
Well, the Russians have been getting drones from some of their allies, including Iran and the like. So we are seeing, and of course, the thing I don't like about war is it's costly, it kills people, it's devastating. But what we're seeing is weapons system being tested. Okay,
sure.
In fact, how do our weapons do, and the like, and the reality is the West has a strong technological advantage in weaponry, conventional weaponry, in my view, over Russia and these other countries. Russia's had to import a lot of that technology, again, from Iran and the like. Russia's had to lean on North Korea to bring in troops. North Korean troops were actually fighting in Ukraine on the side of Russians, and they had huge losses. So we've got to get to peace in that region. And when you come to peace, it's probably going to be a deal that neither side really likes, but the world has got to stop that carnage.
We'll take another break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk a little bit about the Middle East. Thank you.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy.
Through purposeful
and sustainable projects.
We take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect.
We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
Foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships
with our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable
to deliver excellence.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
Welcome back. We're talking about international issues that face our country, and Congressman Fleischmann is speaking with us today, member of the Defense Committee and the Energy, and we'll get to energy. Let's finish up discussion on international a little bit with the Middle East. I'd mentioned Iraq and some other countries, but probably more to the west. I mean, Israel's still where Israel is, of course, and everything's good, and we have a real interest in Israel. I get a lot of people that complain about the bombing. We get a peace treaty and they keep bombing and et cetera, but I don't know. Hezbollah was terrible to deal with, not any better in other parts of the Gaza Strip. What's going on?
Well, this is still a very volatile area. The attack on Israel by Hamas
2 years ago now.
was horrible. That's
Yeah.
right. Just had the 2-year sad anniversary of that. Those pictures are still just vivid in my mind. The reality is Israel is the dominant military force in that area.
Was over Iran?
No question.
Okay.
No question. We saw Iran's frailty 2 ways. When we took out their nuclear things, we sent our planes over. That was a perfect strike.
Yeah.
But the reality is Israel's technological abilities is far better.
Far superior.
Smaller country, no question, than Iran. But Iran's been crippled because, let's face it, Iran has been the problem in funding Hezbollah, and
Absolutely.
Hezbollah sadly is back, being funded and active in Lebanon.
And other groups.
Hamas is still there, greatly weakened. So these terrorist groups are there in the Middle East. They have one thing in common: they're against Israel, which is sad and bad. My point is, the United States and Israel have a very close relationship, have since Israel's founding, and that will continue. Ultimately, I see Israel working with more moderate Arab and other countries in the region to form peace. The Abraham Accords have been good and have held. That's been good. Israel's economy is strong, but the reality is we need to strive again to keep peace or make peace in that region. And the key fundamentally, and that's why I help the Egyptians as much as I do. I know the president of Egypt and the like. They work with Israel. Since Camp David forward, they have really worked to try to keep peace and make peace, and it's worked. It's been costly. I mean, after Israel, Egypt is their second largest aid recipient, but Camp David worked, the Abraham Accords are working. I think if we keep striving towards peace, once again, if peace is our goal, try to keep to that, but it is very, very volatile.
But if you move across the Middle East, now you get into the United Arab Emirates and more moderate countries,
Yes.
if you would say that, and
They are.
very prosperous, very prosperous. They don't seem to be involved in all that.
That's right. They're not. They do a great job with trade. They're looking at the United States for nuclear. I spoke with the head nuclear person from the UAE.
Who has nuclear capacity? Iran and Israel, right?
Nuclear, well...
No, not Iran. Iran's trying to get it.
Right.
So Israel
I can't answer that in this forum, okay? You can read it on the internet. I wish I could. That's classified information.
That's okay.
But I can tell you this. Iran, their nuclear program has been set back tremendously.
Right.
I can say this, they did not have a weapon. They were getting close to a weapon, and now they will not have a weapon, meaning Iran. But the reality is Iran has been devastated by that, and we will watch them. The international community, not just the United States, will watch them. IAEA and other agencies will look to make sure, and I think we have to make sure that Iran never gets the capability to develop a nuclear weapon. The big failure that we had in our lifetime was North Korea. Republicans and Democrats from all administrations looked the other way, and one day North Korea joined that very dangerous club, and that is bad, and it was destabilizing.
Very good. Okay, so let's let the international go, and let's come back to our budgets.
Yes.
Let's talk a little
What
bit.
I do every day, appropriations.
Yeah, that's it. So
Yes.
what do we see changing in Trump's budget? We'll get to the logistics of whether we can pass it or not. You only have so many votes. But the logistics is what's new about this budget that a CR doesn't cover, or what's the difference in the budgets?
Excellent question. When you get a continuing resolution, like we did last year, guess what that is? That's the Biden budget. We don't want that. Now, why? Because it was a continuation of the budget that President Biden signed into law with both houses of Congress back then. So we had a full year for fiscal 2025 that was a continuing resolution. For fiscal 26, which began October the 1st and will end September 30th, we are now still operating, with the exception of 3 bills, still under an old Biden budget. Now, how does the Trump budget and what we will do in Congress change that markedly? First of all, Republicans get rid of, thank God, all of the woke stuff, okay? You pick the woke stuff, we just wipe it out. We get rid of that. We focus on fundamentals.
Now, let's talk about that point. So if you get a CR, that stuff could continue.
Sure it does. It stays in there. And the reality is, what's nice about Republicans, we're not writing in poison pills. We're keeping it very, very mainstream. What does the Republican budget do? It increases defense. It increases homeland security. In the energy and water phase, it pluses up the defense side. A lot of folks don't realize that my bill, the energy and water bill, has a big portion of it that is defense-oriented.
Yeah.
I fund the entire nuclear arsenal of the United States.
Yeah.
Now, right here in Oak Ridge, our great citizens know they've had the Y-12 plant for years.
Yeah.
We're building the uranium processing facility. We got a great company. I'm going to say it. CNS does a phenomenal job there. Now, running those facilities, that is not easy. And well, let me say this. UCOR does a great job on our cleanup, and UT Battelle does a great job at our lab. I love all of our contractors. You make my job easier every day when you execute, because I know at other reservations where contractors drop the ball, it's a nightmare for not only for the nation, but for the member of Congress. So thank you. But the reality is, coming back to this, the fiscal 26 budget will be higher on defense, and where Democrats will fight us and negotiate with us is on what we call non-defense discretionary spending across the board. Dems have always wanted a dollar for dollar with defense. We can't afford to do that, but the reality is they will fight to get that. And I serve on Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services appropriations. I've got the 3 best subcommittees, I think,
Most
in my
important,
hand.
for sure.
Indeed. Defense, Labor H, and I chair Energy
Labor
Water.
and Health.
Yeah, that's right. Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services. And that's where the Dems love it. That's where they're going to work in the Senate and the House to try to plus that up. And the big debate that's going to go on right now is defense versus Labor H. And they're close to getting a deal done. I think they will. But if they get that deal done, then my bill can come right behind it. And some
bring
others.
your energy behind it.
Absolutely.
You think those two have to be worked out before they'll let you come behind them?
They've got to be wed together. And as I tell my Republican friends, we need 60 votes in the Senate. That's why the whole shutdown was not only a farce over something that was not even the Obamacare subsidies, not even part of the appropriation process. Everybody, Republican and Democrat, even the media in D.C., knew that had nothing to do with it, but the Dems tried to sell that to the people. That's why I got so upset. Tell the American people the truth. If you're for something, tell them it. If you're against something, tell them it, and then let the people decide if they want it. But don't lie to the people. Don't create a farce or a scam or something and try to convince people. I spent so much time trying to convince so many good citizens that this was a farce. So the reality is, can we get a budget? Yes, but we're going to need 60 votes in the Senate. And that means those 8 Democrats who came over to finally open the government will want something in the ultimate package.
Almost every man and woman I know in Washington and here in energy, everybody says that you may be the best energy budget manager we've ever had, appropriation guys.
Thank you.
That you get so much done for so many, and you keep priorities on task. We're going to talk a little bit more in the next segment, but I want to know, if you look at how does this new budget, what's in this new energy budget you got coming that's different? And if you could expand within that, funding for small modular reactors, funding for House TVA changed, and we got to talk HALEU. So,
well, absolutely. How much time do we have to talk about that?
How much left in this segment, Brad? 15. You got plenty of time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And please feel free to interrupt me as we break
I'm good
this
at
down.
that.
Yeah, well, but your interruptions are good because
sometimes,
I try not to talk DC dialect. I try to talk
I try to work from a viewer point.
That's right.
When you get too technical, I've got to stop you because they don't know what you're talking about.
From a macro standpoint, I write the energy and water bill for the House Appropriations Committee. Ultimately, I negotiate that, conference it with the Senate. I will have a Republican and Democratic counterpart. That's Senator Kennedy and Senator Murray, with whom I will negotiate differences. The bill this year is really not that markedly different. There are some differences, but we're not miles apart. But the reality is, Oak Ridge is my heart. I make sure that $10 billion or so come into this great reservation every year. But I fund these DOE reservations all over the country: Savannah River, Los Alamos, Hanford, Washington. So I'm working with the entire energy portfolio, Department of Energy, all over the country. Now, I always put Oak Ridge first, and I'm unapologetic about that.
Yeah, you are.
But the reality is, if you talk to them in Hanford, Washington, if you talk to them in New Mexico, if you talk to them in South Carolina at Savannah River, they will tell you what I just said. Fleischmann knows the portfolio. He funds the things that need to get done. We can talk with him and we can work with him. And I do hold a lot of respect with Dems and Rs in both chambers because of that. I mean, Ben Ray Lujan is a Democratic senator from New Mexico. Many times something come up, I trust Fleischmann. You build that over time.
Sure.
Do we have differences?
Kennedy has that.
Of course we do, yes. And
when it comes to nuclear and that kind of stuff,
now,
you're in the circle.
Now, specifically, what did I do and what have I done? I've plussed up the Office of Science. I love our national laboratories. What's my baby? ORNL. Best in the business, unequivocally. Does everything a national lab
we were
does.
talking about that. They're going to do an AI series for us, and you had recommended that they do it. And we'll see how
Beyond the best. And Stephen Stryfer is an outstanding lab director. I mean, but his whole team is good. Belinda and Mo, and they're just all outstanding.
Belinda's great.
But A++. Our citizens can be so proud of our national lab, but there's 17 of them, and I fund them all, and I cherish them all. I put extra dollars in there. My mark is even higher than the Senate mark for the Office of Science. So I'm very popular with our national lab directors, but they do such a good job. But you talk to NE. And, of course, I stay on dial-up with Chris Wright and the other
These are all
members.
departments, different departments within the Department of Energy.
Absolutely. Chris Wright is the Secretary of Energy. Great guy. We visited just last week, and we talk all the time.
Doing okay?
He's doing well. He sure is.
Got to get the rest of his people in there, right?
Absolutely. And we've got some great folks. I mean, Brandon Williams, who we've gotten confirmed. Yeah. My personal friend Dave Beck. A++, going to be the NA10. I mean, we've got
Dave's the
such
best.
great talent. I mean, great
That's
Americans.
40 years of talent right there in Dave Beck.
Great talent. I mean, we're so fortunate and blessed to have the talent that we do. And that makes my job easier, because when I take billions of dollars and I'm putting them where they need to go, forget Republican and Democrat, we're getting great things done for the nation.
Yep.
And I think ultimately I try to be a statesman and get that done. But we talked SMR, small modular reactors. Great work
Which for
done.
the folks, I'm going to simplify this, but basically they will allow us to run AI centers, create electricity at a cheaper price. It's not so much that small are applicable to the development of our weapons system and all of that, but they are functional in our need for electricity.
This is beautiful civil nuclear power, but these are not your grandfather's or your father's nuclear power plants,
correct.
by the way, which I love and which are coming back. We're opening up again at 3 Mile Island. We're opening up in Michigan. We're going in and taking these older structures. I even think California is going to save Diablo Canyon. I really do.
Okay.
They realize they need power. I mean, it's amazing. Progressives who agree with me on nothing, and I mean nothing, and that's a good thing, come to me and say, I agree with you on nuclear power. It's amazing. They show up in droves, and they said, we need this reliable, clean, resilient energy.
So tell me, tell me about the HALEU shortage or the HALEU. We're fighting over HALEU. Companies are applying, a lot of them, but they only got so much they can give out.
I'll break out two things. I put up $900 million in fiscal 2024 for an SMR competition with one thing in mind, TVA.
Yes.
Now, I'm a Republican who loves TVA unapologetically. Not everybody agrees with
Great
me.
leadership.
Yes.
Don Moll's great.
Well, but the agency is so fundamental to what we do here in the Valley.
Yes.
God forbid we lose them. We will lose our economic competitive advantage. They do environmental work, flood control, but it's about energy, and more energy.
I think this whole controversy issue about TVA has really helped their image. I mean, people have learned more about what they do.
And they've learned, okay? They had, when I went to Congress, I've said this before, TVA would ask me for help, I would help them, and then I'd ask them for something, and it was like the old W.C. Fields, go away, son, you bother me. It's like, what do you mean I'm bothering you? I need help. No. Jeff Lyash did a great job. Let me go on the record. He was the first TVA director who said, Chuck, if there's a problem, come and talk with me. I've had some very benign issues with TVA that they would have never fixed. They fixed them in a snap.
They're doing better now.
They're much better.
Customer service.
Right. But they needed an SMR. And in order to do that, they needed a company, and thank goodness they chose GE Hitachi, which is a great company, a great design. The Poles have chosen it. The Canadians have chosen it. They're building it in Canada. This is a smaller modular nuclear reactor that when you build one, you can build 100 of them. They produce less power, but they're easier to build. They're less expensive, easier to license, and they use existing fuel supply. I want to segue into that. They use LEU, which is enriched to 5%. That's right. This is all civil nuclear power. We're not dealing with weapons grade or anything like that.
But Oak Ridge has got all these new businesses coming in, thanks to you and Governor Lee and everybody. Bringing them in. But a lot of them are dependent on HALEU, highly enriched. Because why? Because
the second generation, or what we would call the Generation 4 reactors, the one that TVA is going to build at Clinch River is a Generation 3. The Gen 4s, I'll be specific, TerraPower, X-Energy, Kairos, they are dependent on what we call HALEU. HALEU is uranium fuel that is enriched up to 20%. I can talk about that in this forum.
That's
so
correct.
Typically 19.5, up to 20. But it's more than 5. It's more potent fuel. It's more expensive. The United States...
Why do you need that?
It's the fuel, and there's not enough of it in the United States.
But the fuel makes it go faster? The highly enriched, why do they need... That would be weapons grade if you get over 20. So,
I can't
we won't
say
talk
what
about that.
grade.
We won't talk about
It's
that.
nowhere near weapons grade,
No,
to be
I understand.
honest with you, but I can't
But
give
what's
you
the
that
advantage of HALEU over...
It's more potent, and it'd be like a high-octane fuel if we were going to the
makes
gas
the thing
pump.
spin faster, do better, create more stuff?
Well, and it is necessary fuel in HALEU for the Generation 4 reactors that
which
are going
will
to
provide more electricity.
More electricity. Good companies out there. Now, This is what I did. Again, in fiscal 24, when you pass a budget and you don't fail with the CR or, God forbid, a shutdown, right? And you work with members of the House and the Senate, the administrations, plural, okay, and you have credibility and you come to the table and you pass these things. I put into law $2.7 billion for a competition. Remember we talked about the SMR and stuff like that? That was a competition. TVA won with Giatachi, and by the way, Holtec, another great company, won the other award. We got to give them credit. They're going to build it in Idaho, but they're still good. I'll be candid.
They won't wear orange.
Yeah, that's right. I'm kind to our friends in Idaho. But be that as it may. Let's talk about the award. There's going to be 2 awards for LEU of that 2.7 and 1 for HALEU. That's what DOE decided. Now
wait a minute. Now this is the bill you set aside that
2.7 billion.
But that the Oranos and the Centrists and everybody's been competing on.
That's correct.
There's 2.7, but they're going to give some of it to low.
LEU. That's right.
We expect it.
We expect 2 awards. Remember what I do. I put up the money, and this is very important. I put up the money. I appropriate the money, but then, under our balance of powers, the administration then decides where they're going to go with it. I can't pick the winners and losers. I can certainly say...
As it should be.
As it should be, that's right. Because you wouldn't want Chuck Fleischmann to say... I love Alan Beauchamp and the Beauchamps, and I do, but Alan Beauchamp has a reactor, therefore I'm going to pick Alan's over Herbie's because I love Alan. I want independent people, and they do this. So what's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon, there will be awards from the Department of Energy on that 2.7.
Well, it's supposed to be September, October, wasn't it?
It was, but they're looking at it very closely. They tell me that 2 will be for LEU, that's enriched to 5%, to get people to come here like Orano, like Centris, who's already here.
They can use low?
They can make low, LEU. And remember, Centris is an American company. They are actually poised to do HALEU in the United States, which is
in Ohio. Yeah.
So I don't know who's going to get the award, but my gut feeling is of the 3, there'll be 1 HALEU and there will be 2 LEUs.
Interesting. So all these people that are built, whether it's Centris or whether it's Orano, they all are competing for HALEU or
LEU.
So they can use both.
They will compete for both. 6 companies have applied for LEU. 4 companies for HALEU.
Any overlap?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much
so. One you can do both. Some of them both.
Absolutely. Because what you're doing you get uranium from the ground, which is very, very slightly radioactive naturally. Then you enrich it to 5% for LEU. There's something called LEU Plus now that is actually 10%. Some reactors might use that.
We're ranging all that.
And then you continue to enrich up to 20%. Now, I can't give you the number.
Sure.
Once you get beyond 20% at some level, you can look it up on the internet. It's kind of silly, but the reality is then ultimately you would have weapons grade at some very, very high level.
And that's the whole point with like Iran. When they get too high and you can project it, you got to take it out.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's where they were going, and that's where I think they were. And God bless President Trump, he stopped them cold. And he told them to stop. What's nice about Trump, he's like the Romans. He says, look, we can't let you do this. We don't want you to do this. We're giving you notice, abundant notice not to do this and stop it. But if you don't, we will take action. As a last resort, he took action, and he was right. And my gosh, the American military, a flawless mission.
We got a couple minutes on that, and we'll be back next week. But let me say this. We talk about all these countries and everything, and I'm in the business world, and I do a lot of work with business. I have a lot of CEO friends, et cetera, et cetera.
You do it well.
And I appreciate that. And you got Russia, and you got all these countries that I don't really integrate with, but Chinese matter to me every day. Their business world's interwoven with our business world. So
absolutely,
they seem to be a much bigger presence.
They are a bigger presence. Their economy is about as large, maybe even a little bit larger, depending on how you look at it. They are on a path they will tell you this toward world domination. We need to stop that. And in my view, the best way to do that is with our economy, with our values, and with our great people. But rest assured, China is our competition.
And China has a
Russia
lot of
is
the
not.
same
China is.
same issues we do, in that they got middle class now huge.
Yes.
They got to accommodate things. They've got to work in the corporate world.
And let me throw out another country that is really moving onto the world stage. India.
Yeah, I thought
you
so.
hit it on the head.
Yeah.
India is now the world's largest democracy. They are now, I believe, even the most populous country, I believe, in the world. They're growing at a record rate, and they too, their economy is growing. It's going to be interesting. They're smart. They're playing the United States, Russia, and China, I hate to say against each other, but they're looking for their best deals.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
saw
why
a couple weeks ago the India premier met with Putin and India.
Modi, that's right. And the reality is that's why America has to be on its best game, and I think we will be shortly. We're in a lot better position than we were 10 years ago. Again, that's where I think my party, the Republican Party, does a much better job. That's not an infomercial, but our values, I think, are the values, that are going to get us there to win.
Okay. We got 30 seconds. I want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to come back next week and talk about Oak Ridge and the Valley and everything that's going on in the corridor here, because it's so important to our local community and everything that's going on. And that's basic. You got 10 seconds. You going to say anything?
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy Hanukkah. I love Oak Ridge. I love Tennessee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate you all. Thank you. And be sure to tune in next Thursday at 7 o'clock.